Greetings. I'd like to welcome all of you tonight to the candidate forum for the school board for the Parkway School District. Before we start the forum, oh, I forgot to tell you all this. Well, you'll be fine. We have been receiving numerous phone calls the last 3 days, last 2 days this week and last week, about the county issues that are going to be on the ballot, okay? So I'm just going to give you a really quick rundown on them, just maybe answer some questions you might have. The first one is dealing with the county council and their role as an equal branch of government in the county. Now, it doesn't say that, but that's what it's about. Our county is organized the same way any other branch of government is in the United States. There's an executive branch. In our county, that is Steve Stenger. There's a county council, that's the legislative branch, and then we have a judicial branch. In our democracy, we consider the three branches of government equal. At this moment in time, that's what's up for contention in the county council. Are they equal, or is the council merely, say an advisory board to the executive? The county council believes that their ability to have their own lawyer would make them an equal member of the government in the county. And that's what Proposition 1 is about. It gives approval for each one of the three branches of the county government to have their own counsel. That means their own lawyer, okay? So if you would vote yes, you would say yes to the three branches of county government, each having their own lawyer. If you say no, what happens is Executive Stenger is the only person to have his own lawyer. Just to clear that up, okay? The league takes no position, we just wanted to clarify. The second thing on the ballot is the MSD issue about increasing our, well, I'm assuming changing our bills to help update the two systems we have in our county and in the city county, which are the wastewater and the stormwater. Now, out here, most of us are pretty lucky because our pipes are new enough that they're working just fine. If you go where our water goes from our houses, they aren't. There are places in the city and the county where the water system for the wastewater and the wastewater co-join for a while, and then they split. Or there may be big cuts in them, holes in them, and they go into creeks and things. So once you get east of the county, I shouldn't say the county line, really more like 270, then they're having big problems with those two systems. That's why there's a new way of figuring the rate. And if we are told that if we do not get it, we're in for bigger troubles with flooding and for controlling our water supply and quality. Because you know the water that we drink comes from the rivers. The water that goes out from our houses goes eventually to the same rivers. If we don't take care of it, it's not going to take care of us. The league's position is that we are supporting the MSD rate increase based on space that we are taking up in our homes, which is not allowing water to soak into the ground. Now, they haven't given any more direction to us than you've seen in the paper as to how exactly they're going to work this, but it is based on how much space you have that is impervious to rainwater, and I think you all know that, okay? End of instructions. Now, back to the issue at hand. Thank you for patiently listening. Parkway District is co-sponsoring this with the League of Women Voters. I want to thank Annie Dickerson from Parkway for organizing the event and getting this all set up for us. Thank you to Parkway Middle School for hosting this event. My name is Nancy Miller. I'm a member of the League. I'll be moderating the forum tonight. The other League volunteers that will be helping out today are our timer, Nancy Billingham. She's down front with the 30-second and the stop paddle. Those passing out and collecting question cards are Barbara Harris, Evelyn Beretta, and Ken McKelvey, which is you at the table. And is this Ms. Rubin? Okay. I haven't met her yet, and we have a fourth one today. We have also, in case anybody needs to change an address before the April 2nd, if you fill out a card tonight, we will turn it in and it will be good. We also have applications, if any of you would like to take them with you, which are for the permanently disabled absentee ballot. If you don't know about this, you need to know. This is what the state is encouraging people to go to if they have any trouble standing in line for an hour even. You fill this out, the form out, you send it in, they send you a ballot. Well, they send you a letter first, but you get the ballots at home from then on, once you're on that list. You don't need a doctor's permission. You don't need it to be notarized. You're just put in that category. This is what the state is encouraging for people who have trouble standing in line or getting even to vote, okay? And we have those applications, if you want to look at them, back at our table. Okay. We're going to look at the rules for a second. Each of the candidates has a copy of the rules. I hope they've had a chance to look at them, see how this works. They're each going to have 2 minutes for an opening statement, 1 minute to answer each question, and then 2 minutes for a closing statement. I've asked them to talk about what they believe. Their message should be what they want you to know about them. Your job as the audience is to write good questions. I have about 4 questions here, so we'll be done, 7:30-ish, unless we get some more questions. All right. No campaigning materials allowed in the room, and it looks good. Nobody has a big shirt on it with "Vote for Someone" on it, right? The timekeeper is going to keep track of the time. When 30 seconds are left, she will raise the yellow, turn around so they all can see it. Yes, and it's the candidate's job to keep an eye on that to see where they are in their time. When it's time to stop, she'll raise the red side to stop, and I'll allow them to finish a sentence unless it's a very long, complex, compound sentence, okay? I was an English teacher, you see. All right, my job is to explain it, to introduce, to combine questions, to disallow any questions which are illegible, personal, accusatory. I don't think we're going to find any of that tonight. The candidate forum tonight will last approximately an hour and a half, so we should be finishing up by 8:30. More cards coming in. Good job. The League is a nonpartisan organization. We want everyone to know that when you leave, you need to know where these candidates stand. So think about this. And if there's a question, you can ask the group. I won't ask individual questions. But if there's a question you want to ask the group, make sure you ask it. Of course, you can contact them after the forum, too. Yes, okay. And now the candidates in ballot order. Frida Isan, Salvador Sam, I always have trouble with that, Ciortino. Sudhir Rathod, and Pam Hill. For opening statements, we are going to start with Ms. Hassan and come this way, all right? You may begin. Is it on?
Is it on?
Yes.
Good evening. Thank you all for being here and giving us the opportunity to speak. I would also like to thank League of Women Voters for hosting this event. By now, most of you know us all by face and by name. My name is Farida Ihsan, and I'm running for Parkway School Board. I have been a Parkway resident since last 12 years, and I'm a proud mother of 2 kids who graduated from Parkway. They are out of college now, and they have great jobs, and I attribute all their success to the strong foundation laid by Parkway. Education has always played a very important role in my life. I have master's in microbiology. I have also been a trained Montessori teacher. So I have a strong experience in the education sector too. I have worked with a variety of parents, educators, teachers, and students over the years. By profession, I'm a realtor now, and I also serve on the Inclusion Advisory Committee of St. Louis Realtors, which promotes federal and state fair housing practices and drives changes in real estate business to reflect the growing cultural diversity within the St. Louis region. With the dynamics of our world changing so rapidly, imparting academic excellence is not sufficient only. We need to focus on preparing our kids to work for a better, more tolerant, and more productive society. With your support, if I get elected, I'll make sure that I'm representing the voices of all people in Parkway and address various issues like mental health, bullying, and suspension. We all take pride in Parkway's academic excellence and know that it will continue to be great in the coming years, but there is always room for improvement. And together with our diverse perspectives, we can work to keep Parkway the destination district, which it already is. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Sortino.
Testing. Yeah. Thank you all for being here this evening, and thank you to the League of Women Voters. I've been through this a few times, so I know the routine very well. But anyway, thank you all for being here. I am running for re-election to the Board of Education, and I've served for the past 9 years. And I'm really excited, very excited about continuing to work on the board the next 3 years as well. Just to give you a little background, my background basically was in Parkway. I spent 36 years in Parkway, and every one of those years, every one of those days and weeks and months were absolutely wonderful, working with children, working with our faculty, working with parents, and the entire community, and I couldn't have asked for a better career and a better place overall. Basically, I started out here at Central. Actually, this was kind of a commons area with grass at one time. I don't know if you knew this building when there were 7 different buildings, but basically I started here as an assistant principal and a teacher. I was a science teacher, and at that point in time we opened East, which is now Northeast, and basically at that point I was an assistant principal for a couple of years and then became principal. Then I had the experience of going to the administrative center. I had my arm twisted and became manager of secondary education and instruction, and then became assistant superintendent for human resources. I was so far removed from students, I decided that I needed to go back to school, so I went back to West Middle. And at that point, I finished my career in Parkway overall. Basically, I have a unique perspective from my education, being an administrator in Parkway and all. Basically, I'm the educator voice on the board. I bring about expertise in curriculum development, best practices in instruction, effective grading practices, character education, positive school climate and culture, and I need to stop. But there is more.
Thank you, Mr. Rathod.
First of all, thank you all for coming. And I also want to thank League of Women Voters for organizing this forum. My name is Sudhir Rathod, and I'm currently serving on the Board of Education with Dr. Sortino. I'm not coming from the education background, and sometimes we need that different perspective. I work in the business intelligence field. However, I do have a lot of teachers in the family, so I know how it feels to be a teacher. Our son graduated from North High, and that's how I got involved in the district. I was born and raised in a Catholic family in India where my parents couldn't get higher education, and so they ensured that I have everything needed to succeed. One thing I have realized is that if you have a passion to do something, nothing is impossible. I believe in giving back to the community and have been volunteering with organizations such as Food Bank of St. Louis, American Heart Association, Boys Hope, Girls Hope, Junior Achievement, St. Patrick's Center, and Youth in Need. I bring a diverse perspective to the board, and I believe in common sense leadership. I would like to quote saying from Dr. Nelson Mandela that education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Parkway is a great school district with supportive community and excellent teacher staff. However, there is room for improvements, which is why I have supported personalized learning, a concept that focuses on individual needs. We have the best supportive community with the growing businesses, and our duty is to ensure that our taxpayer dollars are invested in the right direction. And that's why I have wholeheartedly supported improvements of our buildings and resources through bond proposals. One of my priorities since the day one has been college readiness, for which I have been asking and supporting our administration for better summer programs, ACT, and everything else that prepares our students for college. I know my time is going to run out, so I'll stop right here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hill.
They are already on. You'll have to pardon me. You can tell my voice is a little scratchy tonight with a cold. I'm Pam Hill. Thank you so much for holding this forum. I've really enjoyed getting to know the voters in this district throughout this process. To tell a little bit about myself, I am a Parkway parent. I moved into this district 7 years ago. Grew up in the St. Louis area, spent some time in North Carolina. When we moved back here, we chose Parkway because of its excellent reputation. Once we moved into the district, I started volunteering because I work in educational publishing, and so I've got some experience in education, and I also have the opportunity during my days to come into the schools and volunteer. I started out working in our school music classrooms and in our libraries, and after a few years ended up getting on some district-level committees. I've been on the district's Personalized Learning Task Force, on its Government Relations Committee, and for the past Prop S bond issue that just passed, I was the secretary for that issue. As I've spent time in the district volunteering and getting to know all of the people involved in it, I've become so appreciative of the commitment in the Parkway's mission to serve all students. And I decided that I wanted to become part of the school board team that helps to guide this district. I'm running to work with the other school board members to create the best Parkway for all of our students, for all of our schools, and for all of our community members. I believe that public schools are one of the most essential services a government provides and that they form the basis of a healthy society. And I am running so I can help Parkway remain one of the best school districts in the area and get even better.
Thank you. All right, ready to start questions. The first question, we'll be coming this way with the questions. Mr. Sorrentino, are there teachers in Parkway already who are armed? Are they categorized as security staff? And the big question, do you support arming teachers?
I do not support arming teachers, and we do not have any teachers who are armed whatsoever at this point in time. But we do have a very, very high security system in the district, and we feel very good about it. It's been going through a process of improving over a period of time. We have double locks on classroom doors. We have film on entrance areas. We have a visitor management system now. We have cameras throughout the exteriors of the building. We have SROs. SROs are in high schools. There's one for each high school, one for each middle school, and two for each of the elementary schools. They are an integral part of the school. They know the students. They know the community of the school. They love their schools, and they're just part of the fabric, and they're very, very visible, and we're very thankful for that. We're starting to develop vestibules so that there's a 2-point entry into each of the schools.
Thank you. Mr. Rathan.
Same question? All right. So, as a board member, our top priority is to ensure that safety and security of our students are at utmost important. We, as Dr. Sorrentino said, we have made sure that we have double door entries secured where intruder cannot just easily get in. We have cameras, monitoring system. We have updated our even parking lots with the surveillance. So everything we do to ensure the security of our students. I don't think we have even we have highly equipped SROs, and we are even planning to have more SROs at every school building. So I don't think having or arming the teachers is an appropriate decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Hill.
I do not believe in arming teachers. I think our teachers have immense responsibilities as it is. We entrust them with our students, and they do not need that extra level of responsibility that would come from being armed. As it's been stated, the Parkway schools do have SROs in every building, some on a part-time basis, but in every building. And I have been impressed with what I've learned about security in Parkway. Not all districts have a 24-hour security staff. Parkway does. And because I worked on the bond issue, I'm deeply aware of the security improvements that have been made to the schools and are in the process of being made to the schools based on that bond issue. I think that Parkway is doing the right things when it comes to security, and that I do not think arming teachers would be an effective addition to that.
Thank you.
Like my colleague, I'm also extremely opposed to arming teachers. They are not equipped to do that task. Their main focus should be on teaching the students, which is their job. And I'm very happy with the Parkway's SROs program, which is available in every school. So I'm totally opposed to arming the teacher.
Thank you. All right, the next question goes first to Mr. Rathat. And this, several questions, same topic. What would you do to address racial disparity in suspensions and other school discipline?
Well, we just answered this question at the Muslims for Better America Forum. So I would echo the same thing, that I come from a diverse background. I come from an Indian background. So anything racial is absolutely not acceptable to me. And that's why I bring that diverse perspective on the board, so that, you can always voice your concerns about the minorities and the people of color. Now, with that being said, we have a zero tolerance for racial disparity. We definitely take bullying or anything seriously against any racials. And as per the suspensions, we also have to look at the kind of discipline action that's been taken. If it's against the substance abuse or bullying, we have a zero tolerance. So we have to take an action. But at the same time, we are developing a very equipped curriculum that prepares the whole child, aiming that we would be able to eliminate those suspensions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hill.
Pardon me. There is evidence that there is a racial disparity in suspensions in Parkway, as there is throughout most of the country. I think that there are several ways to approach this. First of all, I think that all Parkway staff needs to be trained in examining their own biases. There are certain situations where, yes, a suspension is going to be applied, but teachers and all staff need to be able to look at themselves and know and question if there are things coming into an issue, into a situation that perhaps should not be there. There has been discussion throughout the St. Louis area, and one school district has already done it, about eliminating K-5 suspensions. I would like to see Parkway work towards that, because it's been shown that that does not do the students any good. Keeping students in school is what does good, and there need to be programs put in place that make that possible.
Thank you.
Diversity and inclusion are extremely vital to our understanding of today's world. And exposure to different people open us to various beliefs and values and different perspectives, and develop more empathy towards that. This is where, in my opinion, teachers and parents played an important role, where we should teach our kids how to be tolerant and acceptable, and how can we ask with the other groups respectfully their views, and how can we have respectful arguments.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, there is racial disparity, but I do think it's improving a great deal. We have programs that I think are making a real positive difference. For one thing, our character education program, Leader in Me, these are programs that help students to realize very common sense values that are important to them, values that are important to others as well. I think that reinforcement of character ed traits and values is making a positive difference overall. I also believe that I'm really opposed to suspensions. As a principal, I try to avoid suspensions as much as possible. Another program is restorative discipline. Basically, this is an opportunity for students to basically make whatever they did wrong good by meeting with the students involved, if there's other students, or meeting with a group of students, whatever it may be. This is going on in our schools. Teachers are being trained, students are being trained, and it all starts with a common set of values that students buy into and they support, and it really helps rather than suspending students from school.
Thank you. Okay, totally new topic. This is something near and dear to my heart. This is education. What is your opinion on current legislation in Jefferson City that could bring charter schools to Chesterfield and Baldwin? This goes Ms. Hill.
I do not think charter schools should be further expanded in the state of Missouri. There are lots of reasons for this, but one of them is a matter that they're economically inefficient. There was a study done between the Kansas City Public Schools and the Springfield Public Schools. Same student body, 30 more schools in the Kansas City area due to the charter schools there. Same amount of money being split into smaller and smaller pieces. Charter schools also do not have to follow the same accountability standards as regular public schools. And I do not believe public money should be going to those schools that do not follow those same standards. Charters coming into St. Louis County will take money away from Parkway. Parkway is an innovative district that is offering so much to so many students. People claim that charter schools bring additional innovation. I believe Parkway is already doing this, so I do not think that charter schools should expand in the state of Missouri.
Thank you. Ms. Ishan?
I am against charter schools. I am totally for public school because I think so they are taking money away from the taxpayers, from the Parkway district. They are not held accountable to the curriculum as the Parkway is, and they are not accountable also for the performance of the students, whereas Parkway make it sure that the kids are performing well. When they go out of the school, they are ready to accept the challenges of the world, and they respond to them.
I'm opposed to charter schools as well. I think it depletes the funding that public schools have. That money has to be redistributed if the funds are going to have to go to a charter school. Basically, a charter school comes into being because people want choice. And when you look at our program on Parkway, just think about it. Look at our course curriculum, look at our activities, look at our athletics, look at the quality of our teachers, et cetera. Basically, we have choice, and we can offer students anything they actually want. In fact, what is beginning to happen, a program is going to be starting between Rockwood and Parkway relative to students getting a diploma as well as 2-year college associate's degree by the time they leave high school. So we have all the choice that one could imagine. Entrepreneurial skills, basically students get to go to hospitals and work in the medical field. They get to go in education and teach with teachers. The choice is all there, and our students have a wonderful opportunity for anything they want to engage in.
I have to be very short on this because Parkway is one of the best school districts in the state of Missouri. If you are introducing a charter school, how better can it be? If you look at the programs we offer, they are the best in the district. There are a lot of other schools in the neighboring areas would like to leverage what we have. So my question to the Jeff City and the folks would be, how better can you have the charter schools? Now, on the other side, taking the public funds to charter schools very heavily affect the programs we have, and we can't afford to lose the standards we already have. So I'm definitely against the charter school programs. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, totally different topic. Again, these are some really good questions you're asking, folks. Ms. Isan, you're next. The question is, how can the current school board improve?
How can the current, can you repeat that question? How can the current?
How can the current school board improve?
Parkway School Board is doing good. We can see that by the performance of the students who are graduating from here, looking at their successful performance and their successful careers. I think so there are certain issues which we can work on, because Parkway, in my opinion, always strives to move in a better direction, but there are obviously room for improvement, and there are certain issues of the parents or the students in the school, like mental health issues or bullying or JUULs. We can work on that, and that through those issues we can strive toward a better Parkway district.
There's certainly ways to improve. We're not perfect as a board group of members as it is, but primarily, all of our board members are there for the right reason. That's most important. It's not there for ego. It's not there for their own self-interest and all. We are there for the right reasons, and basically we discuss a lot of important topics. We make a lot of important decisions. But, you know, the decisions that we made are studied very carefully, they're researched, they're reviewed, we ask a lot of questions, and when it comes time to make a decision, we feel very good about that decision. But for the most part, we need to improve on making things happen faster. For example, children with dyslexia, children who have mental health issues. My frame of reference, and all of us feel like, what are we going to do? Let's get it done now. Let's move forward quickly. But that doesn't happen. Things move slowly. But the most important thing that the board has initiated is that there is a process to get things done, such as mental health issues.
So definitely we have a great team, but we do have room for improvement. I would say we can improve by having more diversity on the board. We can definitely look at listening to more community, because after all, this is a community school, this is a public school. We sometimes get so busy in our role that we forget that we are responsible to the community who has voted us and put us on this role. And I think as a board we can, and we have started already as a board chat, so we are meeting with the community folks, with the leaders, understanding what their problems are, and also at the same time setting higher standards for the administration. We have to push the bar higher and higher so that we can be a better school board. Thank you.
I'll say first off that I've been very impressed by how Parkway School Board works. It seems that they work as a team, and if there are disagreements, they seem to be dealt with in a professional manner. As far as how it could improve, gender and ethnic diversity is important, and I think that there could be improvements in that way. I also do appreciate the steps that the board has already taken to make itself open to the district's constituents. I don't know what the turnout has been like on the coffees that you've held, but the fact that you're doing them says something, that there is an informal chance for people to come and talk to the school board members as opposed to the more formal environment of the school board meeting. I think that's a great thing, and even if people aren't showing up yet, I think they'll show up eventually.
Thank you. New question, new topic. Well, mentioned, but still new. And this one goes to Mr. Ciortino first. Please speak about the mental health program within the school system, such as funding screening, counseling services for all employees and students, and if there are changes you believe, sorry, penmanship. Well, if you just speak to that, and if there are, because of the importance of this directly affects our community, and I'm sorry whoever wrote this, there are a couple words I can't decipher. We're okay? All right, all right. So,
we are very, very concerned about mental health issues, social, emotional issues as well. Basically, there's a lot of emphasis being placed on it right now from the standpoint of the district having 4 social, emotional, behavioral specialists that are working with teachers and training teachers, answering their questions, helping them with individual needs that students might have. So it's a support system. It's kind of like a Band-Aid approach. We probably need a lot more of them, but it's working. It's doing very, very well. We're going to have one at Central Middle next year in each of the middle schools, and we'll have one in each of the high schools as well. I'm on a mental health task force. We had another session today. We have one more session coming up. And basically, we're discussing a lot of topics that could eventually emerge into very, very specific recommendations that we can employ to help children with mental health issues. And I think that's going to be a plus as we go forward.
Mental health is one of the most important issues for us right now. One of the mission statement, if you read at Parkway, has the word ever-changing world. We are not in a static world. Things change. We have to have a dynamic perspective on the board to address the burning issues that are coming up. If we are not the people to address those issues first, it's going to affect the generation. It's going to affect the society. So we take this very seriously. Socially, emotional, we provide the resources. We are making sure that we are proactive and not reactive. Even in the discipline hearing, we want to make sure that this is not something that's creating based on some kind of mental health issues, because we don't want to be biased to anything. So thank you.
I'm very proud of the work that Parkway is doing with the Mental Health Task Force, and I really can't wait to see the results from that. The Social Emotional Support Department was put in place this past year, and I'm glad to hear that it's expanding. As the suggestions from the Mental Health Task Force come out, part of the issue with all of this is going to be funding, and isn't it always? I think that the district needs to look into potential partnerships in the community to see if there are agencies that can be partnered with to get the kind of screening that's needed, not just for students, but as mentioned in the question, also for staff. Parkway has great benefits for their staff, and I don't know what kind of mental health benefits they offer, but a healthy teacher is a better teacher, so this might be part of the solution. But I am very much looking forward to the results that come out of the Mental Health Task Force, because I think Parkway can be a leader in this area.
Thank you.
One of the main reasons for me running for the Board of Education is the mental health, on which I really want to work. We need to make the people aware that it is okay to talk about this. Don't keep it as a closed door issue anymore. And we need to provide an open door policy where they can come and talk about. There was a very unfortunate incident when my kids were in the middle school and high school. There was a suicide case, and I know what they went through and how Parkway responded to that. Every teacher and the principal at that time made it sure that children are doing well, and they used to personally call at home to make sure that kids are doing okay. So I think Parkway is moving in a right direction. We need to provide more literature and opportunities for the people to come forward and discuss those problems and make them sure, let them know that it is okay to talk about the problems.
Thank you. Thanks. Okay. Different interest area. This is ESL. And this goes first to Mr. Athad. In at least one local elementary school, a single teacher of English for speakers of foreign languages must cover all grade levels and all levels of language of those students served. Is there a way to improve this situation?
Absolutely. In fact, as you know, I'm from India. My son, when he moved here, he had to be admitted into ESOL, English speaking of other languages. So secondary language is our mother tongue, and English it's become challenging. Even you can see, probably I'm not having the best English right now. But the fact is, yes, there is a need. We have a diverse population. Our population is getting, if you go to McKelvey Elementary, you'll see a lot of diverse population there. A lot of other areas. Definitely, this is one of the key points that we would ensure that we have more ESOL teachers at all grade levels. Thank you.
This is the point where I'm going to admit that I don't know a large amount about this in the Parkway School District. The schools that my students attend, I do not believe have the larger ESOL populations. But I do know that when the recent MAP testing came out, the only thing that prevented Parkway from getting a 100% score was the performance of what the state of Missouri calls the subgroup. And ESOL students are included in that subgroup. So that shows that this is an area that needs to be looked at. As far as what I would do myself is I need to study this more to figure out what Parkway is already doing and what they need to do next, because I honestly just do not know enough about this situation to give a more specific answer on that. But we need to improve our services to ESOL students if the situation that was mentioned in that question is the case in Parkway.
Thank you.
I also, I agree with Pam that I don't know a lot about this, but I know in this ever-changing world, we need to have a second language. And I agree with Sudhir also that we need to have more ESL students, teachers in the Parkway to perform better. Because if we are in a place where we don't understand the language of the land, it will be difficult to understand the cultural and other things which we need to learn.
Obviously, there is a need. It's increased over a period of time, and basically, it's very important to these children that they learn the language as quickly as possible. So the direct service from an ESL teacher, I think, is most critical, most important, and we try to give them as much time as we possibly can. But I think it's also important that the regular classroom teacher and students also help and support these students as well. And communicating with them in the class, giving them a chance to really understand what you're saying, giving them a chance to ask questions. Because one person can't do it all. They have to immerse themselves in an environment where they're learning the language and being able to communicate the language as well. And I think this is where teachers as well as students play an important part.
Thank you. We're moving off curriculum for a minute to you. Ms. Hill, question. Have you participated in any Parkwood School District committees? If so, which ones? Tell us about your Parkway volunteerism.
Well, I covered this a little bit in my introduction. I come to this point as a volunteer. That's why I'm here. As far as district committees, I was on the Personalized Learning Task Force. You've probably heard just about every person up here mention personalized learning, which is a direction that Parkway is going in. I was one of the parent representatives on the task force that did a lot of research on personalized learning throughout the country, what it is, what it looks like, and we handed off our recommendations to a staff committee that is now implementing it. I also am a member of the Government Relations Committee. I've done that for 3 years, and this is a group of parents, board members, administrators who meet 2 to 3 times a year with legislators in the area to find out what's going on in the legislative world that's going to affect the schools. I also was the secretary for the bond committee and did a lot of the organization for that committee.
Thank you. Mrs. Jean.
Repeat the question, please. Can you repeat?
Yes, I will. As soon as yes. Have you participated in any Parkway School District committees? If so, which ones? Tell us about your Parkway volunteerism.
Unfortunately, I have not been on any committee, and when my kids were there, I didn't volunteer because I just recently migrated at the time. I didn't knew many programs like how to do it. So I individually, on individual level, I used to talk to the parents and help out each other by providing and picking and dropping the kids and helping in the education on my individual level. I didn't participate in any volunteer program.
I certainly value and love the opportunity to volunteer as a board member for 10 years, basically, and that's been really special to me overall. I've worked with the Early Childhood Planning Committee and another task force that they had in early childhood. I'm very interested in early childhood and want to be sure that every child at that age gets an education so that they could be ready for kindergarten and ready for life as well. I've also served on the Personalized Learning Task Force. I have also spent 10 years in Project Parkway, the strategic planning program, and that's been very valuable as part of the steering committee and helping the district have a direction as we move forward as well. And then, of course, I'm on the Mental Health Task Force and doing that now.
Thank you.
Actually, Sam stole words from my mouth that, as a board member, we actually volunteer. This is a volunteering thing. We don't get paid, so I just wanted to let everyone know. And our meetings sometimes start from 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock to 11 o'clock at night without any food. So that's a big volunteering, right? Now, to answer the question, I do volunteer at the food pantry, which Parkway has proudly started, so that's another great thing. We do, I'm also on the Teaching, Learning, and Accountability Subcommittee, so I make sure that all the things that happen vetted through the board members first. I'm also on the Student Services Subcommittee. I'm also on the Special School District as an alternate to our very own Deborah Harper. So that's another service that I extend to the Special School District, making sure those needy children with special needs also get our service as well. Thank you.
Okay, good, thank you. Next question is very specific to a particular curriculum, sex education. This has sort of been a hot item in Parkway for several years. This goes to, I say, Mrs. Hassan, you're first on this one. If the board had to consider changing the sex education curriculum, would you favor keeping it the same or going back to a more conservative curriculum that focuses on abstinence?
I favor the board, the Parkway district, what they are doing for the education. I am very happy with the current curriculum. I think so it need not to be changed. There is always an option to opt out. So the people who don't agree, they can opt out. Or we can bring the parents, if there is a majority of parents, if they are thinking on a particular topic or something, we can bring that voice to the board and address that issue.
I think it's very important that students have sex education. I hope a combination of the school offering the program that students should have and the home as well, so that the students learn, parent values and religious values, whatever, regarding sex education. At the same time, the district program is going very, very well. We feel very proud of it, and our teachers are doing a great job. Our parents are having an opportunity to opt out if they wish. Not many do. Basically, they're supporting the program for their children, and it's going very well overall. But it's essential in today's world that students are well informed about their sexuality, they're well informed about their health, and they're well informed about what's right and what's wrong in terms of how they behave.
As I mentioned earlier, the world is ever changing. Things change. You have to adopt and embrace the change. So definitely what we have is a great sex ed curriculum. It's very detailed. At the same time, we have an opt-out option. So if some parents are not happy about that program, they can do that. We also have an option that they can take it somewhere else and still get the credit for. So it's not like it's mandatory for them. They have to finish it though somewhere, whether in the school or outside. And if the situation changes, we might even have an optional curriculum, but that's not the case right now. So we have made sure that we have addressed and listened to the community, and we are doing, I think we have never not had a single complaint about it, so I think we are very happy with what we have. Thank you.
I believe that the current sex ed curriculum has a strong focus on keeping students healthy, and that is what's important. I advocated for the sex ed curriculum that was adopted as a parent. I spoke in front of the board at that time quite a few times, encouraging the board to adopt that sex ed curriculum. And the opt-out option is there. Parents can always talk to students about their beliefs at home, but the schools have a responsibility to educate students about health, including sexual health, and I think that Parkway is doing that effectively with the current curriculum.
Thank you. Different topic, kindergarten. This one goes first to Mr. Ciartino. Kindergarten is an all-day program. There's only minimal free play. Kids use Chromebooks and are expected to learn to read. In sum, much of what we expect of our youngest is not developmentally appropriate. Why have things moved in this direction? And is there anything that we can do to change it?
Well, the kindergarten program, the purpose basically is to develop skills and interest in school and interest in reading and develop, themselves to the point that they're ready to move on. It should not be very strong academically. It should not be watered down where the students are not learning some math and language arts and social studies and science. But that's not the most important thing. There has to be a certain amount of free play, a certain amount of opportunity for students to work in groups, to interact with one another. But it's a formation. It really is a formation. And if we've gone too far to give students more of an academic and putting them through the stress, well, you have to learn these math skills, you have to learn, that's inappropriate. And I believe from what I've seen and what I witnessed and what I think that we have a pretty good balance of what our kindergarten children are learning and the way our teachers approach their learning.
At Parkway, we test everything. We have pilots. We just don't go out and roll everything right away. So at kindergarten, we emphasize, and if you have noticed, we are very much focused on character education now. So it's not just all academics so that the students get bored. It's so funny and friendly, and at the same time, learning lessons for them that prepares them to be more mature. And you see these days, the kids are more mature than where I was supposed to be. So I'm just making sure that character education has been evolved. At the same time, there's always going to be room for improvement. So if something is not working out, we are definitely here to listen, analyze, improve, and make it even more better. Thank you.
I will admit that as a parent, I'm 5 years removed from the kindergarten experience in Parkway. But what I observed at that time was a lot of play-based learning. And if it's moving away from that, I think we need to think about that. I'd want to study this more and know if that's actually the case. I worked in educational publishing for 5 years, and during those 5 years, I essentially watched the first grade curriculum become the kindergarten curriculum. It was disheartening. But when we're putting more curricular demands on kids, they can still learn through play. If they're expected to learn certain things, there are ways to teach those things through free play, through thoughtfully designed centers. And if that is not what is happening in Parkway, and I cannot say that that's the case, it needs to be looked at, because kindergartners, and I would say even slightly older kids, they learn best through play and experiential learning.
Thank you.
Kindergarten is a level where teachers are trained to handle the kids according to their levels through different skills and games. It is not a typical classroom situation. So I think teachers are trained to grade the students according to their level. We don't grade all the students in one, there is not a particular one-fit-all kind of a formula. We grade the kindergarten students according to their levels. So teachers know how to do that.
Thank you. And the next question, we're kind of sticking with curriculum here for a while. Mr. Rathan, this is for you. Well, first, but does Parkway use Common Core standards?
Yes, we do.
Okay then. How's it going?
Well, actually, I would correct myself. We have better standards of our own. We are not abiding by the Common Core standards. I think Parkway, and that's why when I was talking about the charter schools and all that, we are way above. Our bar has been raised so high in the area, in St. Louis area, in the district, even at the state level, that Common Core is probably, you can rate, if it's at 5, we are at 8. So our standards are much more rigorous and higher than a Common Core standards. And I'm definitely not in favor of Common Core, so I would rather say we have better standards. Thank you.
I like to talk about this because I work as a standards correlator. Missouri no longer follows the Common Core standards. This is something that would be adopted at the state level, and a few years ago, Missouri replaced the Common Core standards with the Missouri Learning Standards. There may be some similarities in those standards, but they are not the Common Core state standards as were established by a group of governors years ago. Common Core, any standards are just that. They're standards. They're not telling teachers how to teach. They're simply saying what students should learn at a certain grade level. Districts like Parkway then take those standards to create their curriculum. Standards do not dictate how things are being taught. They simply say, hey, at this grade level, this kid should know this. And the Common Core standards just do not apply anymore in the state of Missouri. We have our own state learning standards.
Parkway is up to standards in all areas, and in my opinion, we should all stay as we are.
Once again, I agree with Pam and others as well, but essentially, Parkway's curriculum is extremely relevant, and it's relevant to today's world. It's relevant to what students need to know for the future. Yes, we like standards from other situations, like the Missouri Learning Standards. We also look at, what is happening in other outstanding districts throughout the country. What do students need to know? We have a curriculum department that is absolutely outstanding. They're knowledgeable. They know the direction that Parkway should go in a relevant curriculum for students. We pretty much design our own. It is rigorous, it's appropriate, and it does challenge students. And students who go through our program, as we all know, and we hear testimonials all the time about where our students go to college and what they become, it is outstanding. And there's always room for improvement, but it's an ongoing process. It doesn't just stop with saying, okay, we got it down. No, we keep working toward improving it.
Thank you. Okay, on a lighter note, but not less important, not less, just lighter. Ms. Hill, how would you improve school meal nutritional standards?
I will say that my kids eat Parkway school meals just about every day. I offer to make them lunches, and they choose to not have me do that. I do not know what they eat every day because they don't tell me this. There were ways that meal nutritional standards were improved a few years ago, and those have been walked back. I believe that there was some requirements for the amount of sugar, the amount of sodium, the number of whole grains, and some of those have been walked back in the past few years. I don't know that that was the right direction to go. I do know that I have a friend who previously worked in one of the middle school cafeterias, and she would occasionally post some of the pictures of the food. And there was a lot of fresh fruit and a lot of fresh vegetables in there. I don't know what your kids are reporting, but I saw some food that looked pretty good.
Thank
But-
you. Mrs. Sun.
I told you as like my kids are out of school, but I know when my son was in Parkway High and Parkway Middle School, he loved to eat in the school because of the pizza and all those things. But now, as I agree with Pam, that if kids are loving to eat in the school, it means they are providing the healthy food. We need to continue and provide the healthy food to them. They never wanted to take the food and they said, Mom, our food smells bad. I don't want to take that to the school. So I never gave them the food and they ate in the school all the time.
I think our lunch program is very nutritional. We have a nutritionist on staff. We also have a chef. Basically, we make the effort to provide students with a healthy lunch. And essentially, we also kind of give them something they might like now and then as well. It's interesting to see, what a student comes to school with versus what we have at school for their lunch. It's a lot of snacks and a lot of stuff that they probably shouldn't have. But their parents know that they're not going to eat a school lunch, so they have them come to school with a lunch. So basically, I think it's nutritional. I think we could always improve upon it. And I think if you have not seen the high school cafeterias, the dining areas, they're not cafeterias, they're dining areas. The serving areas are absolutely wonderful. They have vegetables, they have fruits, they have salads. It's very, very, very good. And I hope that we can bring this down to middle schools and elementary as well.
If you ever get a chance to walk during our lunchtime, you will see how efficient our cafeterias are and the chefs and the amount of nutritional food. However, I agree with what everybody has said, especially Dr. Sam, because on the board, we did get the cafeteria food one day while we were having the board meeting, and it was pretty delicious. At the same time, there is always a room for improvement. Things change. We have to always adapt to what's new outside. I did have a couple complaints come from parents where they said that the food was not sufficient, so I would definitely look into that and make sure that, the proportion and at the same time the nutritional stuff are definitely one of the high priorities. But we definitely pay great attention, and we have a good food. Thank you.
Okay. Shifting gears. And this one is going to go first to, I believe, sorry, I had to change pages, so I have to double check back here. Yes, this goes to Mrs. Sun first. And the question is, how can we improve student respect for teachers?
When the question for how can we involve the teachers to respect the teachers, I know we want to say that it starts at the school, but it starts at the home too. We as a parent have a responsibility of teaching our kids how to go out and accept different views and different perspectives of other people, and how to respectfully argue with other people, how to involve in a respectful argument or a forum, and how we can sit all together and listen to each other respectfully, and how we can promote this. And the kids who are doing it, they can talk with other students also, to their fellow students, that how we can be more respectful by giving out the literature and talking to them.
I think generally speaking, students are very not disrespectful, but respectful to their teachers. So much of that relates to the teacher in terms of the bond and the relationship they develop with their students. If you have a great relationship, the students know you love them and you care about them, you're there to support them. Generally speaking, students will be trusting and they'll be respectful. But we should not tolerate disrespect toward teachers. We should not tolerate it regarding anyone at all. Basically, students need to learn character traits that are important to them, important to their school community, important to their home life, etc. And I really reinforce character education because that's where it all begins. If students learn that it's important to be respectful, trusting, kind, and responsible and all those important values in life, and they're reinforced continuously. But I think most teachers understand and know that if someone's disrespectful, basically they know how to de-escalate that and sit with the student and work through it together.
Thank you.
And not necessarily be punitive.
There's one of those connective sentences. Mr. Rathod.
As a board, our responsibility is not just to educate academically. We develop our kids as the whole students so that when they go out in the community, they become better citizens. Respect definitely starts from home, but we are here to make sure that those standards are followed. We take respect very seriously here. We have policies in place, and that's where a lot of people sometimes say that, you know, suspensions and discipline action, but sometimes you have to do that in order to make sure that the students are respecting everyone. We also want to make sure that character education is emphasized more so that these suspensions are eliminated. So respect is, I think it starts from the moment you enter the Parkway facilities. Thank you.
I think it's all about building a school and a district community. If students don't feel part of something, they're not necessarily going to act in the ways that we would prefer they would. We need to build a respectful and caring school environment. Really, it's been shown that relationships, strong relationships, are one of the biggest predictors of learning. If a student doesn't have a strong relationship with the teacher, it's going to be harder for them to learn. And if they have a strong relationship with that teacher, if they know that teacher cares about them, if they know that principal cares about them, if they know that any staff member cares about them, that respect is going to be there. So I really think that it's not, it comes from home, it comes from school, but building a community that a student feels part of is just so, so important.
Thank you. The next question goes first to Mr. Ciotino, and we're back to teaching learning strategies, okay? Personalized learning seems to focus more on students who are struggling academically or achieving below grade level. What strategies can be implemented for our advanced learners at the elementary and middle school, aside from the gifted program?
The whole concept of personalized learning and the direction the district is going is not just targeted to students who have special needs or students who are not achieving. That's a big part of it. Basically, our personalized program as it goes forward, and it's being designed on the basis that every student will have an opportunity for personalized learning, no matter what their ability, no matter what their intelligence, their talents, et cetera, their interests as well. So it's going to be comprehensive, but it is important. You know, students who are achieving, they're achieving because they're good, strong students and they're very capable. But we do have an issue with students who are still in the gap. Students, for one reason or another, are not learning. And a lot of the students who are not learning are students that have mental health issues, social, emotional issues, et cetera. So if we get to the bottom of that and find out what's going on with them and how could we help them, and as we make some strides in helping them to improve and readjust and become, you know, more student-oriented, interested in school, I think we can make a big difference. But personalized learning is for all students.
Personalized learning is definitely for all students. It's like different standards. We can't measure everybody with the same standards because everybody's capabilities are different. We are all unique people. At the same time, we want to figure out what's the best in you. Personalized learning attends to each one individually, making sure that if you have the higher capacity to achieve higher standards, you will get that opportunity. You will not be dragged down. At the same time, if somebody is having difficulties, we want to make sure that they get the same attention to higher standards, to raise to where they need to be. So personalized learning, it's a big concept that addresses every single student. It has, just to be clarified again, as Sam said, it is not about those poor kids who are trying to, you're bringing them up. So it's all about everyone, giving them the highest opportunity they need.
I'd actually like to share some of the concepts that are in Parkway's personalized learning model. It arranges learning around mastery of competencies. It makes student voice and choice central to the learning process. It honors and offers authentic learning beyond the school day, schedule, and building. It promotes student identification and exploration of interests, and it provides students with multiple authentic ways to demonstrate understanding. This is actually from Parkway's model that I'm reading. This serves all students. When I listen to letting students use multiple authentic ways to demonstrate understanding, think of the ways that a gifted student could show what they understand. This is opening up worlds to gifted students, to the students we consider average, whatever that means, and to students who are struggling. I really think this model, if you study the way Parkway is doing it closely, because it is not the way a lot of schools are doing it, I think it can be powerful for all students.
Mrs. John.
Personalized learning is very important because we cannot measure the talents of all the students on one scale. Sometimes we force students to go in one direction. If they don't want to focus on that, we should try to find out what their focus is so they can excel in that field. I have that same example at my home. My family and other members wanted them to have like medical field, but she wanted to go to a law school. So there was a lot of argument in the home, but I said, let her do whatever she wants so she can excel best. So we need to guide the students in a direction where they want to excel. If we will not do that, then there is the grading system comes when we say these are the average students or the poor students. No student is poor or no student is average. It's just like finding out their talent and tapping them.
Thank you. And this is the last question. This would go to Mr. Rathod first. Please speak to teen suicide. What role should our schools have in prevention and education?
It's very sad that there is suicide still happening. We make sure that we take that very seriously. We have best communication in place when that happens. At the same time, we maintain the privacy of the students. We maintain respect for the family. As a Parkway, we come out as a family and not as a school trying to help. At the same time, we have resources here. We have the open communication system here that you can go and talk to anyone. We encourage students that it's okay to talk. This is what we are doing here. If you go around, you will see the boards and everywhere that's educating awareness that please speak up. We want them to talk. It's okay to talk about anything that's bothering you, but we want to make sure that we are here to stop that suicidal. It's unfortunate that still happens, but we are making sure that we take that very seriously at Parkway. Thank you.
Could you please read the question again?
All right. Please speak to teen suicide. What role should our schools have in prevention and education?
Okay. Well, first of all, Parkway staff members, I believe all teachers, I think, are trained in recognizing the signs of suicidal ideation. I believe they've received that training recently. I think that's really important. Everybody needs to be looking out for those kids who are in trouble. I think the role that schools can play are by including mental health in the health curriculum. I do believe it is in Parkway's curriculum, but perhaps it can be made stronger. By reducing the stigma around talking about mental health. We need kids to know that there are people at the school who are there for them, especially if there may not be people for them there at home. And I believe Parkway is doing that, and I think that they're only going to get better with the recommendations from the Mental Health Task Force.
Ms. Isam.
It is very unfortunate when something like that happened in the school. It can be, suicide can be for different reasons. We need to make sure that even if everything seems fine, we need to communicate with the people to find out what is happening. If we find out something wrong is going on, after that also keep on checking that what is going on. Parkway is doing very good because I told you before too that when something like that happened, how Parkway keep that track and how they used to call personally the parents. As a parent, I really appreciate that the teachers and the principal was so much involved. We need to go out and tell the people that it is okay to come and talk about the issues you have. That will prevent happening those unfortunate incidents.
Thank you.
Obviously, this is very devastating, and it's extremely difficult. Our teachers have been trained to be aware, to be in tune with students. Every student in school needs to be cared for and loved, and you should be able to talk to any student and say, well, do you feel like you're really cared for in this school? Does your teacher care about you? Do others care about you as well? I mean, that's where it all starts from that standpoint. But so many children with issues such as behavioral or social, emotional or mental health issues, you know, these are children that we need to watch very carefully, and those are the children that we're trying to develop programs so that it doesn't become so difficult for them that they lose hope and they feel like they need to take their life. And that's just devastating, and it's tragic, and we need somehow to make sure that just doesn't happen to the best of our ability.
Thank you very much. And now I'll give you a few minutes to get your thoughts together for your closing statements. And we'll begin the closing statements with Ms. Hill, and we'll kind of go backwards then, Ms. Rillat, okay? In the minute or so we're going to give them, I just want to remind you about the League of Women Voters. We are a nonpartisan organization. In 1848, Elizabeth Cady Stanton announced at a meeting in Seneca Falls, excuse me, that it was time that women were treated the same as men and were given the same rights. That was 71 years ago. Okay, 71 years ago. We still haven't passed the ERA. That's the Equal Rights Amendment. 107. Okay, it's been a long day. 170. Sorry. Once the internet at the office crashed today, it just sort of blew my mind. Okay. Through the years, we continue to work. Women's rights, education for all, health care for all, laws to make the workplace safe, and wages equal for the same work, and of course, protect the voting rights of all Americans and educating voters. All of the League members here are volunteers. The League still is a nonprofit. To provide these services, boy, over 100 voter registrations. I think we did 18 candidate forums in the last 5 weeks. Sizable monetary outlay. We operate totally from donations. If you would like to help us out with any kind of a donation, we'd be thrilled. It's tax deductible if that still counts. There are more envelopes at the back table. Just did my taxes, I'm sorry. We are now serving 7 counties. We serve St. Louis, St. Charles, Jefferson, Washington, Lincoln, Franklin, and St. Louis City County. I also want to remind you about our voting website, vote411.org. These are at the back table. This is where you go in, put your name and your address, and you can print out all the information that you want. You can print out the pictures of the candidates if they sent us one. You can find out where they went to school, what degrees they do have or don't have, and their answers to our questions. It's very valuable information. That's at vote411.org. Again, these cards are available at the back table. Okay? If you'd like to join us, we're about 490 strong at the moment. We'd love to have you, men and women, as you can see. One of our card collectors, where did he go? Oh, he's sitting down working. See, Ken, he's a hard worker. All right. Yes, he's showing the card. One of our male members, we have quite a few. Also, the voter's guide just went out. It should be in the library near you. It's also in churches, community centers. There's also a pile on the back table. Wow, are you guys fast back there? Okay, please take one. Anytime that we can help you, we're happy to provide information for you. We're happy to provide information for groups. We provide these services. It's what we're about. Ready? Okay, Ms. Hill, you're first. This is 2 minutes.
Thank you to the school district and to the League of Women Voters for putting on this this forum. I rely on Vote 411 when I vote, and I have for years. It's a great resource. Thank you for coming to listen to all of us. I love the Parkway schools. I'm in our schools every week with the kids. This year I'm in with 5th graders in the library, checking out books and talking to them about what they're reading. I think the Parkway schools are doing great things, and I would look forward to the opportunity to being part of the school board team that helps make the Parkway schools great. There are several things that I would advocate for as a school board member. If you've seen any of my literature, you see I talk about the best Parkway for all. I love the word all in the Parkway mission. For all students, I would advocate for personalized learning and research-based programs that help all students, no matter their background, excel. I support schools where students feel safe, and I support the kind of schools that support social, emotional, and physical health for all students and all staff. For all of the schools in Parkway, I support equitable opportunity and instruction in all of the schools while recognizing the diversity of needs throughout the district. I would support programs and policies that support the best and most diverse faculty being hired in Parkway. I would support looking for innovative funding opportunities for the district, including exploring starting a district foundation. In the state of Missouri, funding from the state is not going up anytime in the near future, and we need to get creative so that we can provide the best for our students. And for the Parkway for community, I would always advocate for the full and appropriate funding of all public schools.
Thank you.
That was quick.
Mr. Rathod?
All right, thank you everyone for coming tonight and for your precious time. Thanks to League of Women Voters and the Parkway School District for hosting this forum. I also want to thank the community for giving me 3 years as my first term on the board. And as you all know, I bring that much needed diversity on the board. I came with no personal agenda. I was here for the students, for everyone. There is so much to do, and I'm glad I was able to accomplish some of the community's pressing needs, such as the McKelvey's overcrowding issue. I fought very hard for that work with the community and the staff to make sure that we have a secondary option. And I'm glad that ISC is going to be converted into a second McKelvey to accommodate the overcrowding issue. The second most important was successfully moving our graduation ceremonies to St. Charles Arena, while also standing by the Jewish community, the students who were affected. And I was kind of adamant to make sure that every student gets to walk, and thankfully we were able to work that out as well. I feel proud that after 3 years I was able to make a difference, and my time was well used for our community. Let's not forget, we are here for the education and not politics. We are here so that we can invest in our next generation. We are here because we believe in people's choice, and last but not the least, we are here because we care. Tonight, I would like to close this with a few questions, and would appreciate if you would carefully think through these questions as you make your decisions to vote. What should be the focus and role of your school board? Are we as the board doing the right job of educating our next generation? And if not, how you as a community member can change it? How would you keep your board diverse and accountable? My focus has been on education in general and college readiness, and I know I'm not done yet. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Sam, you're next.
Okay, great. I want to thank the League of Women Voters. I want to thank all of you for being here today. And I really appreciate some of the feedback, because it seems like, as all of us have talked, the nods, and it seems like you agree with a lot of what we're saying and that's wonderful because we all do very much care. I'm very excited about my reelection to the board, if it all works out that way. This is my 4th term, and people say, well, why are you doing this? I love Parkway. I love Parkway as much as I did when I was a science teacher right up in one of those rooms. And I want to be an instrumental part of helping Parkway move forward as well. My personal mission and professional mission is basically to work collaboratively with everyone. My main role is to work with fellow board members, with the superintendent, the leadership team of the school, and helping to support our incredible teachers, our incredible students, our incredible parents and principals, et cetera, and to support the school community. The most important thing we could do is support the schools. And support everyone who supports the schools. We give a lot of credit to our schools and what everyone does in the schools, but every single individual who has a part in this district, no matter what their role, they're having some kind of impact on the school and the education of our students overall. So as we go forward, basically I'm really serious about how we can continue to do some of the things that we've been talking about tonight, and that is to help students with their social, emotional issues, mental health issues, basically help students who are not quite the learners they should be. They could be. Every student has ability. Every student can learn, and we need to help those students as well. We need to recognize and ensure the rights, the dignity and care for the inclusion and well-being of everyone in our diverse community. And that's the most important part of what we do, because we're all in this together, we're working together, we're sharing with one another.
Thank you.
And I'm getting cut off.
Ms. Ishan.
Thank you all once again for coming out and listening to our views. Over the course of this campaign, I have learned so much about our district, our community, and our hopes and aspirations for Parkway in the future. And I am very appreciative of my fellow candidates for all the constructive dialogues through these forums, and to you all also for sending me different questions. And I have received so many inputs and questions from the people throughout the campaign, and that have pushed me to educate myself further and deeply think that how can I help this district. My mission is to make sure that all students, parents, and committee members are represented at a decision-making level. As the first South Asian woman running for the Parkway, I'm very proud to do that, and I think so that I can bring a new voice and fresh ideas to the board. I want to listen to every member of our community thoughtfully and respectfully to create a strong partnership to find the best solution for our children. In the long run, I will ensure that in addition to keeping Parkway as great as it is already, the issues we discussed today, like mental health, bullying, drills, suspensions, vaping, they remain on the forefront so that we can continually improve and foster a safe and productive learning environments for our kids and students so they can excel inside and outside the classrooms. Education is of paramount importance to all of us and the vitality of our community. So above all, I would like to continue the Parkway's mission to nurture curious, capable, caring, and confident students who can go out and respond to the challenges of this ever-changing world. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You all have to know that you have a great field of candidates. You really do. Let's give them a hand. Okay, and now, on April 2nd, you're going to go out and you're going to vote and make America work. Democracy is a good thing. Go. Forgot to say thank you to Parkway. Thank you, Parkway. Great job as always.